Prime Minister, hello, and how does it feel to be called that by the President of the United States?
It felt very good. We were able to affirm the special relationship which has existed a long time between our countries, forged in difficult circumstances, and as important today as it's ever been.
There's been lots of concern about the President's cognitive ability, claims that he could be becoming senile. Do you think that is misguided, given that you have spent time personally with him?
I spent time with him yesterday. We were billed for a 45-minute bilateral. It was best part of an hour by the time we'd finished. We covered a lot of ground, strategic ground, stuff that I particularly wanted to raise. We did it at pace. He was on good form, and I was very pleased that we were able to cover that amount of ground.
So you think that criticism is misguided?
Well, he was on good form with me, and we were covering
so it's misguided.
Really important. Yes.
And on NATO and US and future, do you accept, Prime Minister, there's a strong likelihood that the US will elect Donald Trump in November?
Well, that's a matter for the American people. I'm not going to speculate about that, but it's clearly a matter for the American people.
But do you acknowledge that the US's commitment to European defence is going to change and Europe will have to pay its own way more?
Well, the election is obviously for the American people. We will, as you would expect, deal with whoever they elect as their president. The special relationship
but Europe are going to have to put more money in.
But
Europe will have to put more money into defence.
Well, look, I'm not going to get ahead of myself on this, but in terms of the contribution of all NATO allies, you're right to say that we're all going to have to put more in. That was a big theme in the Council yesterday, particularly in relation to Ukraine.
You won't actually commit to it. You've said it's a commitment, but you won't put a time frame on it. So it's an ambition, really, isn't it? You're talking the talk and not walking the walk.
Well, I think it's two different things. The contribution to NATO, which is that 2% target, which we already meet. In fact, we're above that. No, the NATO target is 2%.
Yes, but your target
as a minimum. Our target for our own spending is 2.5%.
By the end of Parliament?
But clearly on the NATO commitment, we're already there and exceeding that commitment. And we want all allies to make that contribution. That's very clear. Yesterday, it's a collective resolve. On the 2.5% you asked me about, that is our commitment. That's the overall. No, it's a commitment, but it's a serious commitment, which is why I want to set out a roadmap to it within our fiscal rules.
By the end of Parliament?
I think what would be unserious would be to simply pick an arbitrary date, because that's what the last government did. It said, here's the date, we won't tell you how it's going to be paid for.
So let me put it another way.
So what I want to do is make the commitment, be absolutely clear how we reach that commitment, and that it's within our fiscal rules. That actually is a more serious commitment than being arbitrary.
Let me put it another way then. I understand what you're saying. Is it your ambition as Prime Minister to achieve that target in your first term in office?
I'm not going to put a date on it, because it's going to be within our fiscal rules.
So you're not putting the money where your mouth is?
I'm being serious about how we meet that 2.5%.
But you're saying you'll meet it and then you won't give a time frame, which makes it meaningless.
What we've had for the last 14 years before the change of government was a series of arbitrary dates and lack of funding for meeting those targets, which then were missed over and over again. We've changed. We've turned our back on that way of doing politics. This is a different politics.
Is part of your reluctance what's going on with prisons? You said you are prioritising things uppermost in your mind as risks. That's a prison crisis, isn't it? Are you going?
Yes.
Are you going to allow early release for those who've served 40% of their sentences instead of 50%?
We'll be making a statement about this. I can't tell you how concerned I am about this. I knew it was a problem. It is, we now see a much worse problem than we thought it would be. I am genuinely shocked by what I've seen, particularly as someone who's worked in criminal justice for a long time. It is a basic function of government to have enough prison places for those that the courts are sending to prison. This is almost beyond recklessness from the previous government. We're going to have to pick up that mess, and we will make an announcement about how we're going to do it. We will then also have to look at what the longer term plan is, because we can't build a prison overnight.
Prime Minister,
but I'm shocked to have to pick up this problem.
Prime Minister, could it be that 20,000 prisoners are going to have to be released?
I'm not going to get ahead of the statement we'll make on this, but I'm not going to pretend it's not a very real problem that had been left to us.
Final question. You said at the time of the Platinum Jubilee it was the proudest day of your parents' lives to go to Buckingham Palace and to see you receive a knighthood. What do you think they would have made of seeing you, their son, walking through the door of Downing Street as Prime Minister?
Oh, they'd have loved that. And there's a real part of me that just wishes that they could have been there, because that would have been very special for them. Obviously, they're not with us anymore, they won't have that moment, but I can't pretend to you that I haven't thought about that.
Was it a bit bittersweet then?
Not bittersweet, but you know, I would have loved them to have been there, and they weren't there. And Vic obviously lost her mum in the Labour leadership contest, so both of us had a thought and a discussion about that. We would have loved our parents to have been there. They weren't, but we smile because we know what they would have thought had they been there.
Okay, Prime Minister, thank you so much.